What happens when you live in a house where everyone thinks they're fictional characters? The answer is that you accidentally join a cult.
In the 2000s, there was a guy who ran a fan website for the Final Fantasy character Zack. And in 2002, he was contacted by two people who went by Hojo and Jenova. Little did he know, but these two were scam artists, and they were about to make his life horrible. The three started talking online, and eventually they started getting into questions about reincarnation. And that's because Hojo and Jenova are soul bonders. Soul bonders are extremely attached to a character and believe that in another universe or in another lifetime they were that character. And they believed that the guy they were talking to was soul bonded to Zack. Although Zack, as I shall now call him, found them weird, he still kept talking to them. And eventually the two invited him to their house. And for one reason or another, he accepted. From the start, he was very weirded out by them. When they picked him up at the train station, he got weird vibes and they were arguing. But when he got to the house, it was worse. It was dirty and it smelled and there was trash everywhere. But Zack just assumed that this was because they were college kids, and hey, college kids are a little messy. For the next couple of months, he would go back home and then visit them and then go back home and then visit them. And each time he did, the train ticket would cost $300. And to make things financially worse, every time he visited, Jenova would ask him to buy food and other goodies. And he felt obliged to since they were letting him stay there. He also met different soul bonders who lived in the house every time he visited. In 2003, they asked Zack to move in with him. And he said yes, because although they were a little weird, they weren't terrible. And being a trans man in the early 2000s, Zack felt like he was accepted here. Well, he moved in, got a job near the area, and that's when things started going downhill. Jenova quit her babysitting job, leaving Zack to pay all the bills, including rent and food. Jenova would want very expensive meals, such as steak, and with nothing else to eat, Zack would be forced to eat with them. The problem with this is that he was a vegetarian, and this would mess with his stomach. The apartment smelled terrible due to all the trash that they had laying around. And also because Jenova and Hojo didn't believe in bathing. They just used essential oils and sprays to mask the smell. As well as paying all the expenses, Zack also had to do all the heavy work. Taking out the trash, cleaning dishes, moving furniture. Anything heavy labor was given to him. As if all of this wasn't tiring enough, Jenova would wake Zack up in the middle of the night to hunt for magic, as well as having intimate times with her partner right next to Zack as he was sleeping, which caused even more sleep loss. You might wonder, why didn't Zack leave? He didn't have any money, he was out of town, and he had limited internet access. Anytime he wanted to get online or make a call, Jenova watched over him. The people in the house were pretty much the only people he hung around. One of the members of the house named Aerith eventually had enough when Jenova forced her to get in a bath with food dye and ice cubes, so that she would become closer with her character. She left the house and later asked for her stuff, which sent Jenova into a rage. She threatened to herself on the phone with Hojo and Zack. The two got in a taxi and rushed home. When they got home, Jenova was fine. There was only a few scratches on her arm. She did it for attention. This moment caused Zack to have a realization of the situation he was in, but he felt like there was no escape. Even when he tried calling his dad on a payphone, Jenova somehow found him. They ended up having to move apartments because the apartment they had smelled so bad. And of course, Zack was the one who had to move all the stuff in there. And when they were in the process of moving, Hojo brought out some money and said, hey, let's go shopping for some new appliances. This was shocking to Zack because he was the one paying the bills day to day, only to learn that Hojo this whole time had money. But that's not what broke Zack. What finally broke Zack was a pair of shoes. After a long day of work, he had to walk home in the rain with no rain jacket or umbrella. When he got home, he stuck his shoes outside because he knew Jenova would be mad if he put them inside. And when he woke up in the morning, someone had taken his shoes. In this moment, Zack took a few of his items, $5, which was all that he had, and he left the house. Zack was homeless for a few days, but eventually he got in contact with Sid. Sid didn't live in the Final Fantasy house, but he did come over every once in a while. Zack said that he was one of the more normal ones over there. Sid allowed Zack to stay at his house, and he helped Zack get his stuff from the old house. Sid also helped Zack contact his dad, and Zack's dad flew him back home. Once Zack was home, he made a website detailing the horrors of the Final Fantasy house. And to his surprise, many people came forward and shared their stories with Jenova and Hojo. But that's the Final Fantasy house. If you have any other stories or fandoms you want me to talk about, let me know.